do with their bodies, then, I would encourage you, Brian, not to tell the roughly half of women in America not to go take their bodies and drive to the polling place and vote for pro-life candidates, which is what happens. I want to clarify here. You're saying that the women on the Democrat side wore pink.
Pretty heated today on the Piers Morgan panel. We have Michael Knowles and Joanna Carducci. Joanna Carducci is going back and forth with Michael Knowles, and it's pretty entertaining. Let's watch.
For a future in college sports, but when her girls' volleyball match was invaded by a male, he smashed the ball so hard in Peyton's face, causing traumatic brain injury, partially paralyzing her right side and ending her athletic career. It was a shot like she's never seen before. She's never seen anything like it.
Now, Jojo, do you agree with him that the issue of trans athletes in women's sport is damaging to women's rights and negatively impacts on women?
What I would love to discuss, actually, is
Can you just answer the question, please?
And the fact
just answer. Please answer the question.
I don't think this is an issue this wasn't a State of the Union.
I'm asking you a question
specifically, but this.
Can you answer
I'd
the
like
question?
to talk about how we're not talking about the price of eggs. We're not talking about the price of gas. We're not talking about the cost of living or what the stock market did yesterday. We're not talking about what he's actually doing.
About the speech.
This is an issue, Piers, which impacts such a small percentage
do you want to answer
of the
the question or not?
The American people care about the cost of living. They care about the price of eggs. They care about the stock market crashing. These are the things they care about, Piers. Instead of that, we're talking about these side issues.
If you're not going to answer the question, I'm going to mute you.
The merits of
let me bring in Brian.
You guys both
Can we talk about, if we're talking about random
Sorry, this is ridiculous.
I will answer your question, Piers.
Okay, can we just, please? Jojo just refuses to answer my question.
The substance of his speech.
Let me ask Brian. Brian, do you agree with what Trump did about trans athletes in women's sport? Do you agree it was unfair and impacts negatively on women?
I will answer your question directly if you could give me 45 seconds to do so.
No, I just want to answer the question.
I feel like
you can't all keep doing. You can't all keep doing pre-planned speeches about something else.
I'm answering your question directly.
Okay.
I'm answering your question directly. If you're born a man, transition to a woman, I have never believed that you should be on the same playing field as a woman.
And here we have Joanna Carducci, who is pretty fired up. If you've watched the Piers Morgan show before, he wants to always make it about these trivial, polarizing issues. And Joanna Carducci is one to talk about what really matters.
However, this is not a top 5 issue or a top 10 issue in polls around the country.
Oh, it is.
No, it's not. In what poll, Piers? In what poll?
You know what it comes under? You know what it comes under?
Do any of you know a trans athlete?
Joe, you've had your chance. You didn't answer the question. I'm talking to Brian.
Do you know one?
I'm talking to Brian. The point is, Brian, it comes under this umbrella. It comes under the umbrella of common sense, what Trump calls the common sense revolution, and he says America is no longer going to be woke. That resonated, I think, third with people in America, and here's why. Because they had that one advert, you may remember, Kamala's for they, them, Donald Trump's for you. The New York Times, a liberal newspaper, said that could have moved the needle in the election by 3 points.
Okay, so Piers, let me respond to what you just said, Piers.
Hang on, Brian. Brian, here's my second clip I want to play you. This is all the Democrats wearing pink. Democrat women. Take a look at this. Oh, they're just pictures. Okay. We've got an overlay here. This is Democrat women, including trans Congresswoman Sarah McBride, wearing pink in protest at, quote, Trump's policies which are negatively impacting women and families. Now, forgive me, Brian, but the utter, brazen, laughable double standard of wearing pink to support...
I'm going to give you a double standard.
Hang on. Let me finish. To protest at Trump policies negatively impacting women, when they all think it's fine for trans athletes to destroy the integrity of women's sport. Explain that to me.
Sure. You talk about protecting women and the gall of them to be wearing these outfits, when in half the states in this country, a woman cannot get an abortion and in some instances has to drive to another state. Geography should have no bearing over a woman's body. So if the Republicans on this panel care about women and care about women's safety, then let's talk about the fact that in some of these states, if a woman is raped or the victim of incest, she has to be forced to have that rape baby. What I want is consistency, Piers. I answered your question. I played 2 sports in college. Yes, I agree. If you're born...
And this is where it starts to get interesting. Michael Knowles doesn't actually have an argument for what Joanna Carducci or the other speaker is bringing up. So it's sort of just one of those things to where he's going to try to weasel his way out of it, Michael Knowles. And yeah, it's pretty obvious.
Born a man, transition to a woman, I don't believe you should be competing with women. I've been very consistent on that. However, don't tell women what to do with their bodies. Don't tell women that it's okay, you should just drive to another state. If this is about protecting women, then you guys on this panel should be with me across the board and try to be consistent for once in your life when it comes to
and not to mention, Brian, I'm going to as the woman on this panel.
You know what? As a woman on the panel, you just chose not to answer my
respond to the question.
No, you choose not to answer my questions. Brian answered my question, therefore he has my respect.
This is
all right,
what
I'm going to go to Michael now.
You're talking about an adjudicated rapist who brags about
if we're talking
women
about
by the pussy.
not telling women what to do with their bodies, then I would encourage you, Brian, not to tell the roughly half of women in America not to go take their bodies and drive to the polling place and vote for pro-life candidates, which is what happens. I want to clarify here. You're saying that the women on the Democrat side wore pink jackets. I'll try to clear it up for you. About half of women are pro-life.
It wasn't well said
put it in blunter terms so that you can understand it. But if you want to tell them what to think and what to do with their bodies, I suppose that's your prerogative.
I very much understand it, Michael.
Hold on one second. I have a question for you.
No one told them what to do or what to think. No one did that.
My question is, you're saying that the pink jackets represent the attack on women's rights, but that the only 2 issues we're talking about here are abortion. I'm sorry. I thought that was your implication, that there was an attack on women's rights.
No, I mean, maybe I need to clear things up for you, Michael, because don't put words in my mouth.
Why were they wearing pink? Why were they wearing pink?
Go really slow, Brian. Go really slow for him.
Okay, I'll be very clear to you, Michael, and I'll repeat what I just said, and maybe you can get the MAGA wax out of your ears, okay? I'll explain it to you, okay? There are a lot of women in this country that I speak to, apparently you don't, that believe Donald Trump is a threat to their rights. Now, a lot of different rights.
Which rights?
Abortion is one of them, Michael.
Abortion,
so, Michael, hang on.
Okay, that's what I said.
There are women in this country. Michael, I'm trying to clear it up for you.
And if you guys like this vid, make sure to like and subscribe for more.
Michael, I need another 20 seconds. I'm trying to clear. Michael, I'm trying. Michael, hang on. Michael, I'm trying to clear it up for you, as you just said, okay? So I understand you're obsessed with this I understand you're obsessed with this transgender issue, but even though it probably doesn't affect you in any way, shape, or form.
Okay, I'm glad you've clarified.
He's trying to answer you.
No, you were not. You were not totally right. You're totally wrong.
So I just
you're not letting me even answer your question. You keep interrupting me.
No one can hear. If you talk over each other, nobody hears any of you. So
let me finish, Michael.
Brian, finish your point, then Michael, you respond.
The point I was trying to make is that if the idea with transgenders and women's sports is about women's safety, which I do tend to agree with, then you should also agree with the fact that women in this country, some of whom are raped or victims of incest, are forced to have that baby. If you care about women's rights and women's safety, then let's do it across the board, Michael. Did I clear that up for you, Michael?
All right, Michael.
You cleared up that what I said was right. So I guess my question then is, if the pink represents the Democrats' advocacy of abortion and transgenderism in children, then what you're saying is that women's rights to Democrats are the right to kill their own children and to castrate the ones who survive.
Is that
right? Do I have that right?
To kill their own children. That's your.
Don't even answer that.
That's what abortion is.
No, hold on. I'll answer it. That's your definition
it wasn't a question,
of what a legal abortion
is. You can answer if you like.
Okay?
But you'll let those kids grow up and get killed in a school shooting, right, Michael? That's how pro-life
Say it again. Sorry.
Hang on. Before I go to Matt for his...
So there we have it, you guys. We have Michael Knowles and Joanna Carducci, really going back and forth, and they're not actually going to let her talk about what's important or talk about what matters. Piers Morgan is going to always want to trivialize and polarize the situation to not serve anybody, to not serve the American people. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. It's another day in the progressive way.